Hola niños, today we're going to talk about Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead. We're going to connect what we've already learned about the indigenous peoples of Mexico with this very special celebration. And we're also going to review some of the elements of the celebration, which we may or may not have seen before. So let's get started looking at the history. The tradition of Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, goes back thousands of years to the ancient Aztecs. The Aztecs were that last empire we talked about who were conquered by the Spanish. Well, they used to have this month-long celebration or festival where they would honor their dead loved ones, right? Their dead ancestors. And it was connected to this goddess called Mictacasihuat. Mictacasihuat was also known as the Lady of the Dead, so she was kind of like their Aztec goddess of the dead. We all know what happened when Spain invaded, right? They clashed cultures, they ended up conquering the Aztecs, and they brought their religion with them, Catholicism. So these Catholic traditions that the Spanish brought mixed with those traditions of the Aztec people. And Dia de los Muertos became intertwined or mixed in with two Catholic holidays. All Saints' Day, which were celebrated on the 1st of November, celebrating the dead souls who had gone on to heaven, and All Souls' Day on November the 2nd. So that's how this celebration went from being a month-long festival to just 2 days. So now Dia de los Muertos is held each year on the 1st and 2nd of November. Let's look at some of the elements that we usually see associated with Dia de los Muertos and on display on the altares. We have here papel picado, which is a decoration. There's a bunch of intricate details and pictures carved into this papel picado, and it's used for festivities. You can see papel picado all over the place in Mexico during weddings, during birthdays, and during Dia de los Muertos. Here we have the pan de muerto. It's a very special kind of bread made for Dia de los Muertos, and a lot of times it'll be put on or around altares. We'll show you guys a picture in a little bit of an altar with some pan de muerto on it. The tradition is to have a tiny little skull, like here in the center, marked with bones. It's a very sweet bread, and you'll see a picture of it, like I said, on an altar. A calaca. A calaca is a skeleton, specifically the skeleton of a person. They're used like decorations during Dia de los Muertos, and it's not uncommon to see a calaca like this one, dressed like a living person, on or around an altar or un altar during Dia de los Muertos. If you were with me last year, you remember a story that we read, an Aztec legend called La Leyenda del Cempasúchil, which kind of tells us for the Aztecs why this flower was so special and important for the altares. Because looking at the pictures I'm about to show you, or if you go and see Coco, you'll see all of these beautiful little orange flower petals all around the place. These petals are also these flowers are also known as la flor de los muertos, and it's used as a decoration on the altares. And here is the altar de muertos. This is like the most important part of the celebration for Dia de los Muertos. As you can see here, you'll have a picture of the person that you're honoring or that you're remembering on the altar. Sometimes it can be more than one picture or more than one person, and usually you'll put out food for the spirit of that person to come back and enjoy on Dia de los Muertos. So you'll see here there's a little plate and there's a little cup, and here you'll see the pan de muerto with a little calavera, or the skull, right here on the center. And at the bottom, you can't see it on this picture. At the bottom, there's some cempasúchil petals. And of course, we have our decorations of papel picado. And this is kind of what you would see on a setup for most altars, right? You'll have the food, you'll have the picture of the deceased loved one, the cempasúchil flowers, and the decorations all over it, okay? What I want you guys to do now, after watching this video, is drop down to the Google slide at the bottom and answer a question, okay? I will see you guys soon. Hasta pronto. Adios.